This is Math for Living, section 4.2. We're going to talk about simple interest and also credit cards. When we purchase large items, we may require open-ended credit, which is the same thing as having a credit card. And we need to pay off that amount in a month in order to avoid being charged interest. So in order to get to how a credit card works, we need to talk about simple interest, something that you have likely seen before. The simple interest formula, and here it is. When we take out a loan, or we are putting money in a savings account. In a savings account, the interest works in your favor. But when you take out a loan to make a big purchase, the interest is going to work against you. We will be charged simple interest. Usually every month. But when we talk about credit cards, it's going to actually be daily. The interest we owe to the bank is given by I equals PRT, where I is the interest in dollars, P is the principal in dollars, R is the interest rate, but we have to write it as a decimal, not a percentage. And T is the time, and that's going to be in years. That is very important, that we write the time in years. Let's start off with some key examples. Find the interest. You take out a simple interest loan for $1,000 at 5% for 3 years. Highlight or underline important information. $1,000, 5%, 3 years. Find the total interest you will pay over the 3 years. Well, if it's simple interest, that's going to be $1,000 multiplied by the rate written as a decimal, which would need to be 0.05, multiplied by the time. The time is in years, so we'll just leave it as 3. 1,000 times 0.05 times 3 gives us an answer of $150. That is part A. Part B, what would be the interest you paid in 1 month? Let's take that interest and divide it by the number of months in 3 years. So in 3 years, we'll do a little bit of work on the side. In 3 years, in 12 months per 1 year, that would be 36 months. Okay, it's easy to just multiply by 12, but I'm showing you the dimensional analysis part of it. So now that number, so $150 divided by 36 months, which would be the interest per month, and that would be $4. And we're going to round it to the nearest cent. $4.17 per month. Not a terrible deal at 5%. However, you will see later on that credit cards have extraordinarily high interest rates, sometimes in the 20s. And that's why we want to avoid paying interest. Here is another. Find the interest in months. So you take out a loan for $2,800 for 32 months at 6%. find the total interest you will pay and the amount of interest you pay in 1 month. This is the same exact question, except that you are given the time in months, not years. So the very first thing we need to do is to convert 32 months to years. I will do that using dimensional analysis again. We want the months to cancel, so I put that on bottom, 12 on top, and now I have a fraction. 32 over 12, and that's going to be years. I'm actually going to leave that as a fraction because it'll give us a more accurate answer when we put these numbers in the calculator. Let's move on to part A. The interest is given by $2,800 multiplied by 6% as a decimal multiplied by 32/12 years. So 32 months, it's a little less than 3 years. 36 months would be 3 years. And that should give us an answer of $448. Part B, well, we already know that the term is 32 months, so let's just take $448 divided by 32, and that'll give us what we pay in interest per month, which would be $14. Clearly, you can see that the larger the loan, the higher the interest you will be paying. Same thing for the interest rate. The higher the interest rate, the more interest you will pay. So at this point, we can solve for any of the variables, the interest, the principal, the rate, or the time, if we are given the total amount of the loan. This is also called in a lot of textbooks future value of the loan, and that includes interest. One of the easiest ways to do that, and we're going to let the total amount be A, we're going to add the principal plus the interest. So there's a nice easy formula for you. But if we substitute I equals PRT, because this is all simple interest, then we obtain the future value of a simple interest loan. And that is going to be given by A equals P plus, now I'm going to take this and plug it in. Then I am going to factor out the principal, and I can write it as P parentheses 1 plus RT, because if you take the P out of this, you're dividing that out. What is left over is 1. A equals P 1 plus RT. Two formulas that mean the same thing. So, you take out a simple interest loan for $5,000 at 4%. If the loan carries a 6-year term, find the future value. Highlight or underline what you know. The principal is $5,000. The interest rate as a decimal is 0.04, and the time is 6 years. Our formula, A equals 1, P parentheses 1 plus RT. And that's going to be equal to 5,000 times 1 plus 0.04 multiplied by 6. and that will equal 5,000 times 1.24 when you do those parentheses operations, and then 5,000 times 1.24 is going to be $6,200, or 6,200. At this point, we have example 2b. Suppose that you take out a simple interest loan for $3,600. After 4 years, you end up paying a total of $4,752. Find the interest that you paid over the life of the loan and the interest rate written as a percentage. So this one's a little bit different because we're not solving for the future value. We are not solving for the interest. We are trying to find the rate. At this point, please pause the video, try the problem on your own, and see if you can come up with answers to parts A and B. Okay, here we go. A equals P times 1 plus RT. That's my formula for future value. I know that the initial amount of the loan is $3,600. The time is 4 years. And the future value is $4,752. I'm going to use some algebra to find R. Divide by 3,600 on both sides. And you get 1.32 equals 1 plus 4R. I'm going to subtract 1. 0.32 equals 4R. Divide by 4. R equals 0.08. But let's write that as a percentage. So R is going to be 8%. That is actually part B. And now to find A, let's go back to our first formula for simple interest. I equals PRT, and we can now write 3,600 times 0.08 times 4, which would give us an answer of $1,152. Of course, I want to point out that we used future value and simple interest. We could have also used this principal plus interest in order to find part A by simply taking $4,752 minus $3,600. So there's definitely more than one way to solve these problems. Okay, there you are. Please comment on this video in order to earn credit, and then have a nice day.